Sorry, I'm choking on the fan service. Bayonetta is a single-player 3D action game developed by Hideki Kamiya and Platinum Games, and published by Sega. It was originally released in 2009 for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. In April of 2017, it was released on PC, but in 2014, it was released on Nintendo's Wii U, along with its platform-exclusive sequel, both of which will be ported to the Switch. I'll be reviewing the Wii U version. You start the game falling. Bayonetta and someone else are fighting random angels. This is your opportunity to get a feel for the combat without any negative consequences. Slap buttons and things will happen. At the same time, you're presented with the history of the Umbra Witches and Lumen Sages. Who are they? I have no idea, because I'm not listening to the history lesson. I'm busy fighting and trying to figure out how to pull off cool moves while the music and sound effects drown out the narrator anyway. After the fight, we fast forward to the opening credits. Here we find a man named Enzo lauding the death of someone named Eggman, while a woman in white nun clothing prays over the grave. After a short while, some angels appear and the nun starts attacking them. It's revealed that she is in fact Bayonetta, out to kill angels for her demon masters in the underworld. Rodan the weapons dealer appears to give Bayonetta some weapons so you can fight through the tutorial. After the fight, you jump off a cliff to save Enzo before angels can carry him away. The look on Bayonetta's face in this shot genuinely impressed me. It perfectly expresses that she's thinking, "Oops, I didn't mean to wreck Enzo's car." You can get a lot of subtext from Bayonetta if you watch her face carefully during the cutscenes. The game goes through some backstory via a lengthy exposition cutscene. Bayonetta is looking for answers to her past, where she came from and why she's in the situation she's in and all that. She has a rival that she apparently knows from her past named Jean. Jean hates Bayonetta now for some reason, and part of the story is also figuring out why. There's a little girl that kinda looks like Bayonetta and keeps calling her mommy that you have to protect. Frankly, the story is a little hard to follow. Bayonetta used to be an Umbra witch, and now she's not anymore. Or was that her mother that was cast out? Hell, I don't know. The combat is similar to Devil May Cry, for obvious reasons. The best moves are the coolest looking moves, and that's the point. The mastery of combos, counters, and enemy juggling is where the replay comes from. You can't just slap buttons and expect to do very well for very long, not even in easy mode. You have to measure dodging, get good at countering your opponent's attacks, and learn to exploit the slow-motion witch time in order to get a high rating in each level, and even to defeat some enemies. If you don't, you're never going to unlock everything. Of course, I'm not a completionist. I don't have the desire to unlock and complete the "my god, why did they make this so mercilessly hard" mode. But if you're going to unlock the coolest weapons and sexiest outfits, you're going to have to play through several times. That's what the style of the game is. You beat it on easy to get the story and get halfway decent at playing, then beat it on normal, hard, and ultra hard, while replaying levels until you get platinum rating in each, and farm halos to buy things to make beating the harder levels easier. Pretty standard fare. Bayonetta uses QuickTime events for some damn reason. They spring out of nowhere even in the middle of cutscenes and don't seem to register half the time. You can be doing great and then a QTE hits and you die, ruining your perfect run. QTEs need to go away. The only game they're acceptable in is Shenmue, because it's Shenmue. Bayonetta is not Shenmue. At least I took them out of Bayonetta 2. The Wii U version added touch controls. You can attack, dodge, and move via the stylus and the screen on the gamepad. The touch controls are surprisingly playable, but my hand quickly started hurting from holding the gamepad. You also don't have any real control over anything. It's really just another way to play in single button mode. Platinum Games added Nintendo-themed costumes for the Wii U port. You can dress up Bayonetta in sexy cosplay outfits of Princess Peach, Princess Daisy, Samus, and Link. Not only does this provide the ultimate in Nintendo fan service for a certain subset of Nintendo fans, but it also adds cool variations on Bayonetta's moveset. When you use the Peach and Daisy costumes, the Wicked Weaves, the fists and feet that appear to stomp on some of your opponents, use Bowser's fists and feet. You can even hear him roar. Using the Link costume gives you a sword and shield and replaces the rings you would collect with rupees. And the Samus costume gives you an arm cannon instead of the regular pistols. You can also raise and lower the visor, even during cutscenes. Let's address the portrayal of Bayonetta's sexuality. Bayonetta is known for its sexiness. The reason given for this by the developers was to empower the character. They felt there's no reason a woman can't be able to kick ass and be sexy. While that's certainly true, some of it seems forced. Like they would occasionally realize Bayonetta hadn't done something sexual in a while, so they better have her lick something. As a man, I don't really feel qualified to judge if Bayonetta's sexiness is appropriate or not. So I asked 3 women who've played the game what they thought about it. Here's what they had to say.
I guess, okay, so growing up as playing video games and reading comic books, I'm kind of used to women portrayed that way, and it is kind of bothersome because they always have to be like super sexy, and with Bayonetta, she's like sucking on lollipops all the time and basically naked because her hair is her costume, and it was a little weird and a little unrealistic, but I'm kind of used to it, so it didn't bother me too much.
So after you started playing the game and you saw more of those scenes in context, what did you think of that?
In context, I mean, it made a lot more sense for some of it, especially with the hair stuff. You know, like it's obvious, like it's not a skin-tight leather suit, which is, you know, like I didn't know before until I started playing the game and heard the storyline. Yeah. So, I mean, that made a lot more sense because it's her hair. And her as a character, it goes with how she acts a lot. So it makes a lot more sense there that she's provocative in those meanings.
I think it's just that's what I found humorous. Like, I just thought it was funny, like over the top.
Do you think that it's gratuitous in Bayonetta?
Honestly, no. Like, I felt like that's kind of like what the game was about. So it was going to be like that, you know? Like, I expected it.
Sometimes. I mean, not always, but sometimes, like, when she's, like, making the weird moaning sounds while she's fighting, or, there's the one guy, like, she got a little provocative with him quite a bit, but, other than, like, those areas, I don't think it was too big of a deal. Like, I think it went, I don't think it went too gratuitous other than, like, a few moments.
Do you think the portrayal of her sexuality has a positive or negative effect towards women in the real world?
I don't know. I think it could be positive, but probably not for the younger generation, more for an older generation. Like, I definitely wouldn't have, like, a 9-year-old kid playing it just because of some of the sexual undertones there. But, because that for younger generations, I think it would be a negative impact. For older generations, I think that it could show women to embrace their sexuality and use it as a weapon if they wanted to. But, I guess that could also be looked at as negative in a way, too. I'm kind of weird.
I'm not sure if it really had an effect. Just, like, I don't know if it really affected anything, in my opinion.
Like, I do think, like, the lollipops, even though, like, they are kind of sexualized in there, like, to show her sucking on something, I think that their heals and upgrades were really cool. Like, I was like, oh, hey, well, that's a new way. It's not a potion like normal. It was unique to the game versus, you know, other games where you're like, oh, it's another potion.
Bayonetta is a fun romp of a game. The world isn't set in any particular time period and is a cool mix of the new and old. I love when movies do that, like many of the Hayao Miyazaki films. The story's hard to follow, but the story feels more like window dressing than anything truly important. The music has a pop lounge music feel to it that's catchy, especially the redo of Fly Me to the Moon. If you like stacking combos and looking cool doing it, Bayonetta fits the bill. There's plenty of unlockables to satisfy any completionist. Just don't expect a riveting storyline to engage you.
Tentacles? Why did it have to be tentacles?
Thanks for watching my Bayonetta review. Not only do I review video games, I also show how to replace game cartridge batteries and do other minor console repairs. Feel free to check them out, and do the social media thing.